In November, Typhoon Yolanda slammed the Philippines with wind gusts of more than 170 miles per hour that left more than 6,000 dead and more than 1,500 still missing. Naperville resident and North Central College alum Jonathan Miers survived the storm in the small city of Tacloban and is now at the forefront of the attempt to rebuild the area he called home. NCTV 17's Whitney Goodbread shares his story.
I didn't know what to do. I had no choice. I had to sit. I couldn't go outside. You're out of options. Your only option is to sit there and hope for the best.
On November 8th, Naperville resident Jonathan Miers was working for the company Go Abroad in the city of Tacloban in the Philippines. When Jonathan heard Typhoon Yolanda was headed towards his home, he went into the bathroom for safety and rode out the storm for nearly 3 hours. The whole time not knowing what the future held.
I guess I was prepared to not let go, but let things happen.
Miers thankfully survived that storm, but that didn't mean that his problems were over. After the storm subsided, Miers realized his roof was gone, but was able to make it to his office, where he spent 4 days without power and little food and water. Jonathan's boss opened their office to a homeless family and offered to share their food. A thought that didn't sit well with Miers at first, but then proved to teach him one of the biggest lessons of his life.
I woke up the next morning and I was like, what was I thinking? These are children, these are families, but I've never been in that position, so I didn't know how to react. My first instinct was to take care of myself. And that moment, that next day, I was ashamed of myself to think that way.
After 4 days, Miers was evacuated to another part of the Philippines. And then, instead of getting on another plane to come home to the States, Miers made a selfless choice. He was going to stay and help. Miers recently told his story of survival to a full Miley Swallow Hall on the campus of North Central College in hopes of reaching an audience that could help him raise money to take back to the Philippines for those affected. Jonathan's story helped a national headline hit home for members of the audience.
Hearing his stories and the way he talked about sitting in the bathroom and with his knees scrunched up and like pretty much praying that and being ready to die, I mean, that adds a whole different element.
He lived through it, was able to get out, and the first thing he did was decide to go back and help the 80 people that worked with him and to care for them.
The rebuilding process will take much more than just constructing the buildings that were lost. Instead, they must improve the quality of those buildings to prevent this kind of tragedy from happening again. But even that won't be easy.
To build a bunch of row concrete houses is not what is good for the culture because it's not what they know. But if we can somehow mold a Typhoon somewhat sound structure and still utilize some of the native products and the styling, that's the long-term solution.
Hoping to help his neighbors, rebuilding one safe home at a time. I'm Whitney Goodbread for Naperville News 17.
Miers' initial goal is to raise $50,000 to provide immediate assistance to those suffering in the Philippines. For more information or to donate, visit goabroad.org.